Welcome back to The Vocalist. Today we are listening to Ozzy Osbourne. I have heard him before. I've heard the song Crazy Train, but other than that, I genuinely don't know if I've heard much else from him or Black Sabbath. If we're being honest, most of what I know about Ozzy Osbourne I learned from the reality show The Osbournes. And it's only because that came out when I was in my early teens, so I recognize I have quite the education ahead of me. Today, we are going to be watching a live video from 1981, and the song is I Don't Know. Here we go. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. I love that little build. Oh golly, what am I trying to say? In the melody that we're hearing in the guitar. And it's repeating, so that's why I just kind of kept letting it play. But what a great opening. We're gonna stop and start, talk about his voice. Here we go. This. Thrilled he is, like physically pointing to the guitarist, just loving the music, loving what's happening. Let me go back to when he starts singing. His voice, it's so interesting having heard him speak, how different his voice is when he sings. And I think that was something that I do remember questioning when I was in my teens watching this reality show, because knowing his reputation, he was just so quiet, and so I was surprised to find, that he was just this incredible voice in metal and rock music. He's got this really beautiful nasality, but it's all so very full and very balanced. And then the other thing, just his positioning as he gets to the mic, he's so calm and not serene, but just there's like a stillness in his face where you can just see how focused he is on just text, vocals, singing. Sings higher, he's got this beautiful oral cavity space where there's just like, you can see the separation between his molars, and so he just keeps this beautiful sort of almost box shape throughout the entirety of the line despite the range, no matter if he's singing high or low, and that's really cool to see. But you can also see the movement in his body between phrases, and so to find that stillness every line, it's really cool to see how he's prioritizing the vocals here despite the incredible instrumentals that are happening. Breath control is also sort of speaking to me right now. This stillness, he's got this tiny forward lean, which is actually a technique that a lot of classical singers will use, sort of singing, almost feeling those sympathetic vibrations in the sternum. It helps to also expand your rib cage in the back when you've got this tilt forward. Not that, this is intentional, but this is just what I'm seeing right now. So again, all this activity and then finding this beautiful positioning to sing, and that sound, it's so consistent. It's got this sort of, I'm going to use the word monotone quality, and I mean that in a good way, because it is so consistent from one note to the next that it gives that sort of quality to the tone, because it just all sounds so much the same. If I didn't know any better, if this was in the 80s, if it were, in 2040 with all the AI that's happening in the world, I would easily believe this was just produced by a computer because of how consistent it is. I don't know. Here we go. I'll back it up a bit. I meant to comment on his breath. I got distracted by the sternum. You don't hear any inhalation, so you can usually that indicates a lifted soft palate. Oftentimes, if the soft palate is lowered, we can hear the breath sort of pass over it. So when I was talking earlier about that beautiful space, a little space between the molars, but also a lifted soft palate is going to help create more oral cavity space. And since he's already using this great nasal resonance, it's just creating this really great, balance. I should rephrase. Maybe less nasal resonance and more forward placement. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Let me go back. But in addition to not being able to hear the breath, it feels very low. It doesn't feel like this, like a gasping for air. He's just really got these gorgeous controlled lines. he's singing you now. Previously, these higher notes, you kind of felt like, oh my gosh, are they gonna break? And that tells me he's primarily singing in chest voice. He's not utilizing a lot of mixed voice up there because of all that power. Of course, if you're not utilizing very much of that CT muscle, and you're not incorporating that in the sound, that lighter sound, there's a tendency for every singer to wonder, oh my gosh, is it gonna break? Am I gonna crack here? The way he's maneuvering the word you, it's much, I was gonna say thinner, it's smaller and a bit more focused. And so I feel like we're getting some more head resonance in there, which is giving us a little bit more security in those high notes. Okay, that transition though was so cool between, I don't even know, the two sections, I guess is what I'll call them. I loved the groove, that sort of slow down feel. Yeah, here we go. I wasn't ready for such an abrupt ending. I am going to turn to you to guide me on this particular journey, because even just seeing him, with natural hair coloring and just a completely different look, I know he has gone through many, many, many phases throughout his career. So I hoped that, I think they started out, oh golly, I think it was even, a decade or 15 years prior to this is when the band formed, from what little research I've done so far. So I've got a lot of years to cover. I hoped that this would be a good sort of starting point, or close to a good starting point, so that I can work my way and see that progression, not only, obviously in the look, but in the music, the vocals. There's just so much that I think transformed from then to now. So yes, please let me know your recommendations. But just the takeaways for me for today, the voice is just so consistent. I think that was the thing that really stood out to me. It, from one note to the next, no matter the range, no matter how high or low, or the vowel, the song, in the text, it's so consistent. And that is really hard for a lot of singers to do, especially when you're performing music with this kind of intensity. So anywho, that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching with me, and hopefully I will see you next time.